Kafka, a cleanup crew worker who accidentally acquired the power of Monster Number 8, woke up after a deadly battle with the strongest person in the defense force at that time. His fate is still under review to determine if he is an ally or an enemy of humanity. He dreamed of becoming a threat to the whole world and facing his beloved Ashiro, but luckily it was all just a nightmare. Starting Season 2, the story continues in the Tachikawa area, which is now in ruins after the battle with Monster Number 10. Squad 3 was saved by Kafka's transformation. But since then, Ashiro and everyone else have not received any information about the verdict for Kafka. The former members of Squad 3 have also been transferred to various other defense units, with Rino and Aharu currently in Squad 4. Kikaru Shinomiya has now joined Squad 1, temporarily staying there until the Tachikawa base is rebuilt. Squad 1 is considered the strongest core force nationwide, and its leader is Gen Narumi. The captain of Squad 1 also possesses top-tier power, second only to Shinomiya's father. But ironically, the strongest captain in the country is a true gaming addict, a case of talent going hand-in-hand with vice. The new member introduction was chaotic, full of arguments, and Shinomiya's expression clearly showed her contempt for Captain Narumi. The monster alarm suddenly blared, and a monster appeared at Kanagawa Bay, looking like an anime version of Godzilla. Modern tanks fired with full force, but didn't leave a scratch. Following that was a perfect performance from Squad 1. Under Narumi's tactics, the entire squad quickly locked down the creature's movement. Narumi then executed a dive from the aircraft, plunging straight into the monster, causing it to explode in an instant. The overwhelming power gave even Shinomiya goosebumps. That coolness lasted only a moment, as after the battle he was complaining loudly because the front-page news was about Mina Ashiro of Squad 3, not Narumi. Honestly, he's a glory hound. After the battle, Narumi and Shinomiya were led by Squad 1's vice-captain, Hasegawa, to meet Iso Shinomiya to discuss Monster Number 8. Kafka was also brought there. There, Isa made a bold decision to unify the power of the strongest monster in history, Number 8, with the strongest defense unit, Squad 1. The goal was to create an invincible force capable of confronting all future catastrophes. Narumi initially opposed it strongly because he didn't need a monster in his squad. But after hearing Kafka express his sincerity and desire to protect everyone, he temporarily agreed, accompanied by a clear warning. If Monster Number 8 loses control even once, Narumi will immediately eliminate it. A new future for Squad 3 also opened up. Although everyone is now in different places, the former members share a common goal: to become stronger and look forward to the day they can fight side by side once more. Episode 3, the end of the first episode with Squad 1, concluded. For Kafka, who possesses the terrifying power of Monster Number 8 but has the physique of a 30-year-old man, this was truly a torture session. He was exhausted, panting, looking like he might collapse at any moment. Yet he was the most diligent person on the training ground. Even when everyone else rested, Kafka continued his physical training in the afternoon. He understood that he had to prove he was diligent and useful enough to deserve his existence in the defense force and as Monster Number 8. Meanwhile, Shinomiya, eager to push her limits, sought out Captain Narumi to request extra training. But what greeted her was the sight of Narumi kneeling and begging to borrow money despite having just been paid. It turned out he immediately rushed onto Amazon after getting paid, buying a pile of things that formed a mountain right behind him. Man or woman, once addicted to online shopping, there is no cure. Suddenly, the alarm bell rang, and Squad 1 immediately deployed to Shinagawa, where 7 giant ants were fiercely attacking. The scene was chaotic, with people fleeing in despair. In a critical moment when 2 children were about to be torn apart, Narumi appeared just in time to save them. Squad 1's combat procedure truly lives up to its name as the nation's strongest unit. They quelled the chaos in just a few tens of seconds under Narumi's precise and cold command. But that was just the warm-up. The real battle begins now. Shinomiya had an extremely impressive debut. With her speed and strength, she single-handedly took down a series of monsters, also helping sub-squad leader Shinanam. Many teammates even evaluated her current ability as equivalent to Narumi's when he was a rookie. Everything went smoothly, but strangely. The swarm of ants they were fighting very rarely appears on the surface in such large numbers. It could be said this was the first time in human history. This signaled something unusual was happening behind the scenes. In Kafka's area, something terrible happened. He couldn't activate the power of monster number 8. Despite trying to use a Shiro as motivation for a full transformation, he still failed. In a moment of carelessness, Kafka was overwhelmed by the ant attack and was seriously injured. And just then, the ground cracked open and monster number 9 emerged right in front of Kafka. There was no doubt. Its target was monster number 8. Kafka tried to transform again and failed again. The situation now became extremely critical. Narumi intended to rush to Kafka's aid, but was unexpectedly stopped by another monster number 9. Not only that, but the ants that had been incinerated were resurrecting. Identical to the phenomenon that occurred during Squad 3's battle with monster number 10. Number 9's ultimate purpose was clear. It came here to kill Kafka and seize the power of number 8. Just as it was about to deliver the finishing blow to Kafka, Shinomiya rushed in and slashed it, severing its torso and declaring she wanted to settle the score from that year's preliminary selection. Two deadly battlefronts had begun. Shinomiya and Kafka would face the first clone of number 9, Narumi with the second clone of monster number 9. According to Aisaw, the next generation, if they want to become stronger, must overcome this challenge. And now, that challenge has officially begun. Episode 4. Number 9, despite being cut in half by Shinomiya, immediately regenerated its body as if unharmed. Seeing it recover instantly, Shinomiya immediately understood that the inability for Kafka to transform was very likely an effect from number 9. Therefore, she made a bold decision. She would continuously attack and suppress, while Kafka had to seize the moment number 9 was injured and regenerating to force himself to transform into monster number 8. Only with the power of monster number 8 would they have a chance to defeat the opponent in front of them. But number 9 was not an easy opponent. As soon as it saw them splitting in two directions, it immediately split into two heads, attacking both targets simultaneously. Shinomiya spun around to dodge the attack, lunging straight between the two lines of attack to close the distance. As she lunged into the deadly situation, the image of her deceased mother clearly reappeared. Her mother, an elite warrior, had sacrificed herself during a mission many years ago. That death turned into a wound that would never heal, which is also the reason Shinomiya swore she must become stronger so as never to lose anyone again. No matter how broken she might become, she would protect her teammates with everything she had. She gripped her weapon, lunging to deliver the finishing blow, but number 9 unexpectedly changed direction, knocking Shinomiya away and throwing her off balance. In that dangerous moment, Kafka didn't hesitate. Even with just his human body, he rushed forward, slamming straight into number 9 to redirect the attack. The collision broke one of his legs, but in return, Shinomiya gained enough time. She spun around, putting all her strength into her blade, a slash that tore monster number 9's body in two. Seeing the golden opportunity right in front of him, Kafka immediately tried to fully transform but failed once more. At this moment, he understood that the cause was not number 9 nor any external factor, but the fear within Kafka himself. He was afraid of losing control again, as he did when facing Aisaw, afraid of hurting his teammates. Afraid that the power of monster number 8 would once again spiral out of control and turn him into a real monster. That fear had tightly bound his soul, preventing him from taking another step toward the monster form. On the other front, Narumi had received the information. He decided to activate his power to the maximum 98% level to quickly go and assist Kafka's group. Narumi's weapon was a perfect combination of a gun and a sword, fighting up close while suppressing from a distance. Everything was controlled by him to an almost absolute degree. But number 9 was not the type of monster that could be easily overwhelmed. After just a few exchanges, it caught up to Narumi's entire movement rhythm and launched an explosive attack directly at the captain. At the headquarters, experts immediately realized the problem. Monster number 9 was the first creature in history with the ability to learn and evolve during combat, a trait that had never appeared in any other Kaiju specimen before. However, the previous blow inflicted no damage on Narumi. Everything he had done so far was just a warm-up. In the blink of an eye, Narumi vanished from number 9's sight and reappeared at an unpredictable angle, piercing a large hole straight through its body. This was his true power. Retina 001, Japan's number 1 weapon, was created from the retina of monster number 1. Retina allows Narumi to see a creature's brainwaves before they act, helping him predict the opponent's entire movement trajectory. He was essentially strolling through the battlefield, while simultaneously counter-attacking with horrifyingly precise shots. He located Number 9's core in an instant and ended the battle with his ultimate technique. Military Bayonet Second Form. Cluster Cannon. Monster Number 9 instantly exploded. On Kafka's front, he was still being battered because he couldn't transform. Shinomiya fought while shouting, "Don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate the defense force, and most importantly, don't underestimate yourself." Those words were like a wake-up call. Kafka realized how misguided his thoughts were and how much he had limited himself. He clenched his fist, pouring all his resolve into the final transformation, and then he successfully transformed. Monster Number 8 officially stepped onto the battlefield. Immediately, Monster Number 9 also roared, activating its full power. It resurrected the swarm of ants around it, and energy wings sprouted, preparing to launch a finishing blow on Kafka. But before it could fire, its core was swiftly seized in Kafka's palm and crushed. However, Monster Number 9 stubbornly held on. Kafka didn't give it a chance to counterattack. He rushed up a tall building, jumped into the air, and descended with a full-power punch. In a single moment, Number 9 exploded into dust. The entire headquarters watching on screen was silent before that power. And in this very moment, the invincible squad of the Japanese Defense Force was officially born. Episode 5. Immediately after Monster Number 9 was defeated, the team quickly swept up the remaining minor monsters. Despite facing two numbered specimens simultaneously, the Defense Force's losses were extremely low. Only 2 defense lines were breached. This was the clearest proof of the ideal of an invincible squad that Commander-in-Chief Iso had long wished to build. The Shinagawa sweep operation officially concluded. Kafka, Shinomiya, and Narumi all received praise from General Iso. However, a doubt lingered in Narumi's mind. What was Number 9's real purpose? The truth was revealed immediately. The Number 9 that was just destroyed was only a fake. Its true self appeared directly at the headquarters, where Iso was stationed. The entire base immediately fell into chaos. Everyone evacuated in panic before the entire headquarters building was blown up in a violent explosion. Kafka, Narumi, and Shinomiya quickly sped back to the headquarters for aid. The one that Squad 1 faced before was only a clone. The current monster Number 9 had transformed, becoming many times stronger than before. With just one punch, it defeated Iso, who was considered the strongest human at that time. The surrounding area was quickly evacuated to avoid casualties, and so the battle between the strongest human and the fully evolved monster officially began. With just a single blow, it slammed Iso to the ground as if it cost no effort at all. Iso activated Number 2 in a full release state, but the situation still didn't change. He was completely overwhelmed by Monster Number 9. Even so, Iso managed to land a strong enough blow to blow off the opponent's head, but the core did not fall. Instead, it continuously punched, throwing Iso straight against the wall, causing his entire body to be severely damaged. Knowing he didn't have much time left, Iso decided to trade his life to open the way for the next generation, just as his wife had chosen in the past. A fleeting memory of his happy little family from years ago flashed by, giving the last bit of strength to the man who had nearly finished his military career. He blocked Number 9's punch and then launched the ultimate technique of Weapon Number 2, a skill that was once enough to wipe out a city in history. But unleashing it with a human body also meant destroying himself. Recognizing the danger, Monster Number 9 immediately went on the defensive. But Iso didn't give it a chance. He immediately launched the second consecutive blow. A terrifying energy wave exploded, so powerful that even Kafka's group on their way could feel it. Even so, a miracle did not happen. Iso completely collapsed, exhausted to the point of being unable to move. Monster Number 9 was completely blown away, but its core remained intact, meaning it was not dead. And then, Number 9 absorbed the entire body of Commander-in-Chief Iso. When Kafka and Narumi arrived, it was all too late. What stood before them now was a Number 9 with power reaching a terrifying threshold after completely assimilating Iso. Shinomiya appeared from above, unleashing power without hesitation, but it only smirked and revealed her father's face as a cruel taunt. Immediately after, Number 9 began to retreat to stabilize its new body. Narumi and Monster Number 8 immediately closed in, unleashing their full power to prevent it from leaving. Will they be strong enough to reverse this situation? Episode 6. After continuous fighting, number 8 and Narumi made number 9 pay a heavy price. It lost both of its arms. The reason stemmed from its new body not yet accustomed to the immense power and also being affected by number 8, which hindered its regeneration ability. These two factors made number 9's biological reactions unstable, creating an extremely disadvantageous situation for it. Unwilling to surrender, monster number 9 decided to detonate a large area, hoping to wipe out the entire defense force. But no matter how terrifying its destructive power was, it still couldn't defeat Narumi and monster number 8 at the same time. In the final moment, it chose human targets. Shinomiya, an exhausted scientist far away. Kafka and Narumi immediately turned back and rushed to save them. Taking advantage of that moment, number 9 vanished from sight, leaving behind a feeling of helplessness and horror. Before retreating, it left a cold warning: the next time they meet, it will be a real war. When the monster world awakens, no one can stand aside anymore. This phase of the battle had also ended. News of Commander-in-Chief Aisao's sacrifice quickly spread throughout the country. The headquarters organized a solemn funeral ceremony with full honors for the man who dedicated his life to protecting the world. A mournful atmosphere enveloped them, but no one shed a tear. They understood that he had passed away valiantly, without regret. In contrast, Shinomiya, Aisao's daughter, sat silently in her father's office chair, tears flowing non-stop. She did not attend the funeral, but the immense pain of loss made it difficult for her to restrain herself. Narumi approached her, his voice warm but firm. "Everything essential that Aisao passed on to me, I will pass on to you." At the headquarters research facility before his death, Aisao left a secret weapon for the vice commander to safeguard, something that could change the tide in future battles. Shinomiya now began a period of grueling training with sub-squad leader Shinonam. Her deadline was only 1 month to surpass Shinonam, and if successful, she would be directly trained by Narumi, the strongest person in the defense force. Kafka, meanwhile, was temporarily released, free to go home and do anything he wanted, but still under the surveillance of the defense force. A new secret at the Squad 1 headquarters was quickly revealed. Kafka was gradually turning into a monster. A part of his body, specifically his right hand, had not completely returned to normal. That means if he continues to transform into monster number 8, the chance of returning to being human might disappear. Kafka learned this information, and his decision became heavier with each transformation. With the remaining free time in the day, Kafka decided to return to the monster cleanup crew, visiting old teammates, returning their belongings, and reaffirming his skills. The staff who had long complained about cleanup now only needed a few actions from Kafka to make everyone admire him. After Kafka left, the atmosphere was buzzing everywhere. People began to worry, suggesting that with Aisao's passing, this place was no longer safe. But Toko, an old colleague and close friend of Kafka, spoke loudly to reassure them. "Kafka and the defense force will protect us." It sounded heroic, but people knew Toko was actually a heavy gambling addict. He still owed someone 50,000 yen. Returning to headquarters, the determination to destroy monster number 9 in Kafka's heart was now greater than ever. Narumi appeared, and the two quickly agreed on a cooperation strategy. They would defeat number 9 despite the risk of not being able to return to human form. The responsibility for eliminating number 8 if he lost control would be carried out by Narumi. And now the defense force officially begins the counterattack. A new battle where strength, tactics, and spirit will be tested to the absolute limit. Episode 7. Monster number 10 was brought back to the robot research headquarters. It still retained consciousness to communicate with humans and made a request: to turn itself into a number weapon exclusively for Hoshina in exchange for information about monster number 9, the one who created it. Hoshina, after discussing with number 10, talked privately with Okunogi about this plan. She strongly opposed it because this was the first time a number weapon was conscious, and the risk of it taking control of the body and mind was extremely high. Nevertheless, he decided to report to Captain Ishiro, presenting the acceptance of number 10's condition, and would present it to the headquarters agency. Immediately after, Hoshina was present at Squad 1 to attend the meeting to plan operations against number 9. At the most tense moment, the young-spirited Narumi led the entire group out to fiercely debate with Hoshina. If anyone has the time, watch this movie because I'm tired of this age. The Eastern Sector Conference to plan a response to number 9 officially began. Hoshina stood up to present the interrogation results from number 10. Monster number 10, with a strength level of 9.0, was only an experiment created by number 9. If all defense forces across the country are combined, they can only directly confront a maximum of 5 numbered monsters at the same time. Therefore, if the number of monsters exceeds control capabilities, the nation will fall into disaster unless the units overcome their disagreements and unite. Some people suspected that number 10 might be lying, but the data collected by Squad 3 proved that in recent years, the number of monsters and variants has suddenly increased, and the average strength index has also doubled from 2.6 to 4.8, which is consistent with number 10's testimony. The origin of the monsters is still unclear, but recent research hypothesizes that the energy generated from the collision of geological plates may affect surrounding organisms, leading to the appearance of monsters. Squad 3 believes that number 9 exploited this factor to create more monsters. Number 9's current location is still undetermined because it moves continuously and changes its appearance. However, the energy source powerful enough to create monsters suggests that the location to search is most likely at the intersection point between the Philippine Plate and the Eurasian Plate. This is an extremely large challenge for hunting it down. An important detail from number 10 is that number 9 can absorb the memories of the individuals it swallows. When merging with Commander ISO, number 9 may have grasped all information about the Defense Force's power. In other words, in the next few months, the Defense Force needs to create an element of surprise, something number 9 cannot predict. The proposed solution is to utilize and train all young personnel with development potential, and at the same time find an individual compatible with weapon number 6. Which is currently vacant. Number 6 is considered the strongest and most dangerous weapon, expected to be used to confront number 9 directly, the old king versus the new king. Currently, the compatible individual has been identified as Rino Ichikawa, a former Squad 3 member and one of the fastest improving young talents. Currently, Rino is in Squad 4, and the squad captain will directly supervise his testing process. According to him, monster number 6, which appeared in the past, had a strength level of 9.6 and could control monsters as powerful as the main Kaiju. The previous battle at Otawara with it caused countless casualties, including Hikari, the Squad 2 captain, and also Shinomiya's mother, who sacrificed herself. Rino quickly recognized the terrifying and dangerous power of number 6 from the Squad 4 captain. The number weapon has the potential to help humans destroy giant Kaiju, but the alarming fact is that most people who use it pass away before retiring. Although this could be considered a soldier's duty, the captain still gave Rino time to consider before making a decision. The next day, Rino decided to take on this responsibility and proceeded to test number 6. As soon as he activated the power in his arm, the immense energy made him hallucinate and faint in less than 5 minutes. In that moment, he felt he somewhat understood Kafka's feeling of carrying such immense power. When he woke up, even though the captain advised him to carefully consider the risks of using the number weapon, Rino was resolute in continuing this path. The final decision was made. 1 month was the trial period, and the final result would be decided by the Squad 4 captain. Episode 8. 1 month of testing had passed. The Squad 4 captain originally set such a tight deadline only to make Rino give up on his own. But what he least expected happened. Rino adapted so quickly that it exceeded all predictions. And the speed of his power development was even assessed as far surpassing Ashiro during her rookie days. A true one-of-a-kind genius. The final mission to determine the ownership of number 6 was to eliminate a weasel-like monster that first appeared in 67 at Bugui Pass with a strength of 640, because number 6 continuously erodes the user's life force. The maximum operational time for Rino is only 10 minutes. If completed, he will officially become the inheritor of number 6. Rino and his teammates rushed into the forest, heading straight for the main Kaiju, but because he was not yet accustomed to the new power, Rino lost control for a moment. Fortunately, Iharu and the entire squad provided timely support, helping him regain his composure. Immediately, Rino swung his arm, and the minor Kaiju in front was frozen and shattered with just a single blow. The entire team was stunned. That power far surpassed imagination. Witnessing that scene, Iharu was pulled back by his old psychological wound. His teammates were continuously growing stronger at an alarming rate, while he felt stuck in place. In that moment of distraction, Iharu was hit and fell down. The feeling of helplessness tightened its grip on him. But Reno was right behind him, freezing and destroying the monster in a single breath, saving Iharu. Approaching the weasel-like monster, Reno only needed a light touch to completely freeze one of its legs. But the more he fought, the more fiercely the desire for power burned in his mind, and his energy continuously increased. 43, 46, 51. The whole team was shocked by that escalating speed. Only the Squad 4 captain realized something was wrong. He clearly understood that the number weapon synchronizes with the user's body. The more it is used, the more neurotransmitters go to the brain, leading to the exposure of the true nature of the owner. For Reno, the desire to become stronger was a double-edged sword. The power exceeding the limit caused his muscle fibers to tear and his bones to be severely damaged. The captain's warning was ignored as Reno frantically rushed into the attack. It reached the point where his left leg bone was completely broken and the entire 50 meters area around him was frozen. The experiment failed, and the Squad 4 captain prepared to step up to eliminate the main Kaiju. But the story was not over. In that very moment, Iharu rushed straight into the frozen area without thinking. Despite the captain ordering him to stop, he kept moving forward, smashing every layer of ice in his path to reach his desperate friend. Iharu carried Reno on his back and whispered, "Don't give up this time. Let me clear the way for you." The final plan was set. Iharu would break through and open the path, and Reno would deliver the finishing blow when the opportunity arose. Seeing them risk their lives for each other, that kind of friendship really made me want to cry. Unlike my friend back home, the final battle was about to begin. Could the power of friendship overcome this severe challenge? Episode 9. Iharu rushed straight towards the main Kaiju like a whirlwind, and the Squad 4 captain immediately noticed something unusual. With an energy level of only 24%, a human absolutely could not move like that. He checked again, 41%, then dropped to 22%, and then soared up to 42%. The number continuously fluctuated, but the mere moment it touched 42% was enough for Iharu to be comparable to Reno when he activated the number unit. If properly trained, Iharu would surely become a metaphorical monster in the future. When people face a wall, they often choose to step back or take another route, but Iharu chose to smash that wall. Facing his own limits, the young man only knew to clench his fist and rush straight forward, shattering every layer of doubt and low self-esteem that had bound him for so long. He ran along the main Kaiju's body, destroying its flesh armor piece by piece with extraordinary speed and determination. When thrown away, he stood up. When knocked flying, he rushed back in. The extraordinary display made the entire Squad 4 watch in awe. That was no longer the slow-footed Iharu of the past, but a warrior who was giving birth to his own true self. And then the decisive moment arrived. His suit reached its endurance limit, and Iharu gathered all the remaining percentage, concentrating it into a single fatal shot. The bullet pierced through the main Kaiju's thick defense layer, revealing the brightly glowing core inside. Immediately, Reno, in his support position from afar, did not miss this golden opportunity. He activated his full power shot. He pulled the trigger, and the ice bullet shot out like a white flash of lightning, piercing straight through the monster's core. The main Kaiju exploded in a pool of ice and cold smoke, and the battle ended. Amidst the debris that had not yet cleared, the two young men looked at each other and shared tired but proud smiles. They slapped hands in a high five, beautiful like the turning point of a coming-of-age story. From afar, the Squad 4 captain. The image reminded him of his memories of fighting alongside Hikari, his best friend, teammate, and the one who fell at Otawara that year. That was a time of burning youth, and now he saw it being lit once more in Reno and Iharu. Hey, but watching him cry looked a bit funny. The final decision was made. Reno officially became the user of weapon number 6. Ashiro also received the news from the Squad 4 captain, and he promised to train these two young men into soldiers who would impress her. In Squad 2 and Squad 1, everyone also quickly heard the news that Reno had become the user of weapon number 6. While running at night, Kafka unexpectedly reunited with his former vice captain, Soshiro Hoshina, of Squad 3. Before he could speak, Hoshina held a blade to his neck, making Kafka panic and fall backward. It turned out that was the debt for Kafka's crime of hiding his identity as monster number 8. What a persistent and vengeful person. But immediately after, Hoshina also thanked Kafka, not as Monster Number 8, but as Kafka Hibino, the man who saved him and the entire Squad 3. After that, Hoshina led Kafka to Ryoni Shrine, a place dedicated to those who died in monster disasters and during the process of sweeping them out. According to historical records, during the Mairiki Great Fire disaster in 1657, the flames nearly burned down the entire Edo and Kanto regions. That was the time of the biggest battle. This was also the location with the highest number of sacrificed guards, as they had to confront monsters with crude weapons like simple swords and guns, without the technological armor of today. Here, Hoshina decided to help Kafka practice a new fighting style. But first, he wanted to check how much Kafka had improved. To be fair, Kafka looked quite competent, but Hoshina dodged his attacks effortlessly and then counterattacked with a few painfully deep blows. Nevertheless, Hoshina admitted that Kafka had progressed significantly just by looking at his movements. He knew how much Kafka had worked hard during the past time. But that was still not enough for him to become stronger without relying too much on the monster Number 8 inside his body. Therefore, Hoshina began teaching Kafka close combat technique, a close-quarters fighting skill passed down through generations of guards and perfected by General Iso. Kafka had to become stronger, minimize transforming into Number 8, save his own life, and use his human strength to become worthy of standing beside a Shiro as he desired. Before Kafka could get emotional, Hoshina put him in a headlock and said, "Don't dream too far, you're still the weakest, old man." As the two were preparing to leave the shrine, Kafka suddenly saw a mysterious samurai silhouette standing silently in the darkness, with fiery red eyes looking straight towards him. Episode 10. After returning to headquarters, Kafka almost threw himself into the series of physically and mentally torturous exercises assigned by Hoshina. Seeing him train to the point of cramping and completely collapsing, Shinomiya felt pity. She gave him the phone that his superior Hasegawa had sent, something he could use to contact everyone after a long time of disappearing without a trace. However, when he returned to his room, Kafka just sat silently holding the phone. How should he start the conversation? Now he was Monster Number 8, the living weapon of Squad 1. Who would still dare to see him as a teammate? He gathered all his courage, pressed call, but as soon as he heard a dial tone, he panicked and hung up immediately. The second time he picked up a call from Miharu, but the person on the other end was actually Reno. Miharu leaned into the frame and shouted, "No one is afraid of you! Everyone misses you like crazy." Both spoke with such sincerity that Kafka burst into tears like a child. Seeing this middle-aged man cry was both hilariously awkward and pitiable. Afterward, large monsters suddenly appeared simultaneously in various areas of Japan. But the strange thing was that they all vanished before the defense force could even reach them. Headquarters was also building more shelters in key areas to facilitate civilian evacuation. But they still faced issues in distributing remaining number weapons, specifically 3, 5, and 7. If Kaiju with the power to defeat Iso appeared simultaneously, the defense line would be instantly shattered and the damage would be immense. Shinomiya was then taken by Narumi to the vault containing Number 4, the weapon of her own mother, Squad 2 Captain Hikari. She was tasked with inheriting it, and also received direct training from Narumi at headquarters. The young prospective soldiers were also rigorously trained by Hasegawa to prepare for the inevitable battle. As for Kafka, after many days of exhausting training, he finally managed to land a punch that made Hoshina a little sore. But before he could celebrate, Hoshina returned the favor with a strike that sent him flying into the air like a firework. These young guys are so competitive. During lunch break, Kafka accidentally reunited with Ashiro. They sat and ate together, gazing at the peaceful scenery where everyone was still living their daily lives. It was as if no monsters had ever existed in this world. They both reminisced about their childhood, their struggles, and their efforts. Ashiro thanked Kafka for saving her and Squad 3 last time. She was no longer the little girl who used to hide behind him. She had become much stronger. Beneath the clear sky, they shared a single goal: to eliminate all monsters and open up a bright future for this country. Somewhere in the city, amidst the peaceful evening lights, a monster in the form of a schoolgirl suddenly appeared. It smiled emotionlessly and then massacred a series of innocent civilians. A new nightmare was beginning to arrive. November. Toko's daughter's wedding. A member of the cleanup crew had just begun when the happy atmosphere was torn apart by terrifying screams. A giant monster suddenly rushed in to attack, and immediately across various areas, A multitude of monsters simultaneously appeared, shattering the country's fragile peace. The new appearances were so widespread that even headquarters was overwhelmed and couldn't respond in time. Toko's daughter was only a few meters from the monster's mouth when Narumi appeared like a flash of lightning, slicing the monster in two with a single sword stroke. The civilians were immediately urgently evacuated and the defense forces' war officially erupted. Without wasting a second, Narumi sliced off the head of the second monster, then activated his number weapon in the blink of an eye, and the next four were torn to shreds. While he was still holding the battlefield, Hasegawa transmitted a mixed news report. The good news: Squads 1 and 3 were deployed across Tokyo, tightening the protective perimeter around the evacuation centers at record speed. The bad news: other distant areas could not be sent relief forces. The monsters this time were targeting critical areas: power plants, TV towers, government headquarters, and transportation hubs, all of which were surrounded by them. Clearly, there was someone behind the control, and it didn't need to be said that everyone knew it was Monster Number 9. Shinomiya headed straight for the center of the monster appearances. As soon as she landed, in less than 5 minutes, she single-handedly wiped out all the Kaiju present. The power inherited from both her father and mother converged within her, surprising even the vice commander who was monitoring remotely. On another battlefront, Hoshina and Weapon Number 10 also just sortied and were literally an unbearable sight. These two guys argued from the moment they were on the plane, and then recklessly cut a hole in the plane's belly to jump down onto the battlefield. I'm worried if the plane can still fly. Unfortunately, they landed right in a nest of giant horse-like monsters, and what's more, it was their first time cooperating. One running left, one running right, one dodging, and the other rushing into the attack. The level of synchronization dropped straight towards the alarm level, making everyone at headquarters break out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, despite taking a dangerous hit, Hoshina survived. He had to admit defeat and comply with Number 10's fighting style. They were both joking around and supporting each other, but when serious, both were so strong that no monster could survive for more than 3 seconds. Next, they blocked the attack and eliminated both in one motion. Kaiju no 10 stood behind, rapping like a professional, while Hoshina was slicing like mowing grass. With 70% of their power activated, fighting and arguing simultaneously, both of them easily wiped out all the small fry monsters and proceeded to eliminate the main monster. Hoshina used the secret technique, delivering a single sword strike that cut down the main monster instantly. After the battle, while preparing to support the next front, Number 10 suddenly changed their mind and demanded to kill the defense force because the fighting was too boring. It's like a comedian from a previous life was reincarnated as a monster in this life. What a pain. The entire front line around Tokyo has been stabilized. Only the battlefield of Kanami Shinonam, squad captain of Squad 1, remains. Here, as many as 6 giant monsters have appeared, extremely difficult to deal with. Kafka offered to rush in to assist, but Kanami Shinonam immediately refused. Kafka is the final main weapon to confront Number 9. If he transforms at the wrong time and Number 9 appears like last time, all plans will collapse. Mina Ashiro then stepped forward to accept the mission of eliminating all the monsters in this area. A decisive battle is waiting ahead. Around 12, the Caranaut electromagnetic gun was fired by Captain Mina Ashiro, wiping out every monster in an instant. The horrific destructive power stunned all the forces present at the scene. Everyone understood why she was considered the strongest heavy weapons user at that time. With just one burst of fire from a distance of over 30 kilometers, all 6 monsters were completely obliterated. The entire Tokyo area was temporarily safe. However, the whole team quickly felt that something was wrong. Number 9 is not someone who is easily defeated. And just as predicted, monsters of the same rank as Number 10 immediately appeared simultaneously at critical points. All of them bear code numbers from 11 to 15. In just one move, the schoolgirl-like monster blew away 4 guards in a flash. Narumi immediately understood the real plan: to cut off and eliminate the key forces of the defense force. The deputy commander also began to worry about Kanami Shinonam. Although she is extremely strong and is expected to surpass even Narumi in the future, the current situation is different. He cannot leave the headquarters himself to support her. Doing so would leave this place unable to withstand unforeseen circumstances. That means everyone has to face the high-level coded monsters alone. Kanami Shinonam now activated her power to 84%, reaching the level of a current squad captain. But it was still not enough against monster number 15. No matter how many attacks she launched, it completely dodged them all and responded with a full-force strike to her bones, causing her lungs to be damaged. Blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. Narumi's side was not much better. He was hit by the monster in front of him so hard that blood gushed from his own eyes. Hoshina, the most self-assured regarding swordsmanship, was also beaten to a pulp. He was completely unable to resist. The headquarters gradually realized a chilling truth. All of them, the defense force, humans, were merely test subjects for monster number 9. The coded monsters all understood the abilities of each person and completely countered all of their strengths. In the evacuation area, civilians began to lose faith in the government and the defense force. Only Kikaru Shinomiya still believed in Kafka and his teammates. Kafka's situation was becoming increasingly tense. The aftershocks from the coded battles spread to the area where he was evacuating civilians, making the area more chaotic than ever. Worse still, all the guards there were brutally killed. Squad Captain Kanami Shinonam activated her power to 73%, but was still knocked away with just a few blows. With the responsibility entrusted by Narumi, the person she respected from the bottom of her heart, Kanami Shinonam struggled to her feet and continued to fight. Grenades were thrown out and bursts of gunfire rained down, but none of it managed to stop the coded monster, not even for a step. Just as she stood before the brink of death, Kafka appeared. Monster number 8 refused his orders to save her. His eyes shone with intense anger. After giving a wry smile, he and Kanami Shinonam faced the enemy before them. Monster number 8 entered the battle, and immediately after, monster number 9 also showed up. Thus, the 12 episodes of Season 2 have concluded. Goodbye everyone, and see you all in Season 3 as soon as the movie comes out.